Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Alissa Coram here, and I'm joined by Justin Nielsen, and we're going to get to the market. But first, Justin, give us a rundown of the stocks that we're going to be analyzing today.
Well, despite the fade in the markets today, we still did have some breakouts. So we had LGI Homes and also Vertex Pharmaceuticals. And then we'll also take a look at a setup with MSCI, a recent addition to the breakout stocks index.
All right, well, first, let's take a look at those major indexes. This is a chart of the NASDAQ. As you can see, the tech-heavy index reversed lower today, closing down about 0.9%. The Dow Jones was harder hit, down 1.5%. The S&P 500 down 1.1% for the day. So although we did reverse lower after, some substantial gains early, we've been up, at least on the NASDAQ, just so much in the last week or so.
So I guess the takeaway here is that you can't go up every day. And yeah, right, exactly. News breaking headline, right? But yeah, it's very normal for you to have some pauses along the way up. And I mean, we had a very strong gap up yesterday on the NASDAQ. And, while as much as I would have loved for it to be a better close today, and, the reality is you would expect a little bit of weakness to follow a day like that ends like this. You usually expect some weakness to spill over the next day. So look for that in the morning tomorrow. But it doesn't necessarily mean that, hey, take all your toys and go home at this point, because this is just one day and we are still, I mean, we hit new high ground. While again, it wasn't a great close, it's still, we are, very far up in this rally, and there's really no signs of it letting up. You have these very short consolidations and pullbacks that seem to just roar back with even more power. And the S&P 500, that did, if we could just take a look at that, that's still kind of holding in this pattern right there. It did break out a little bit out of this little area of resistance. So it's just coming back right to that area. So this would be a great place for it to get support.
All right, well, let's take a look at some stocks on our radar, starting off with LGI Homes. A nice gain today for that stock, up almost 6%, Justin, above average turnover, clearing this handle entry here, and now nearing that nice round number of 100.
Yeah, and so this is one of those stories where, just recently we had the pending home sales that just shocked everyone with how high those were. And now LGI Homes comes out with their numbers for June that way above estimates for their home closings. And they had a record Q2 of 2005 closings for the second quarter. So this is something that's just showing a lot of activity in the home builders. One of the other things that you might consider, if you don't want to go with a single stock, there is the ITB. That is an ETF that does cover the home builders. There's a number of them that are looking like decent setups, but LGIH was definitely the leader today because of that news. And as we see more of that data come out on the home builders, you could expect some more movement as long as that is positive.
And I really like seeing what this relative strength line is doing.
Oh, yeah.
Breaking out there as well. Nice volume and a nice gain today. All right, moving on, taking a look at Vertex. This is a stock that we've been talking about a lot on IABD Live, and it gained about 2.7% today, Justin. Also breaking out. It looks like it closed about in the middle of the range today, but still a notable gain while everything reversed lower.
Yeah, so the fact that it kept its gains, I mean, yes, you always like to see it close in that upper part, the higher the better. But the fact that it was able to keep its gains, that is still a pretty good positive there. Now, just keep in mind, Vertex can be a little bit of a squirrely one. It tends to have these breakouts, pull back, a lot of times to the area, of where its previous breakout was. In fact, just recently, it broke out just very briefly above that 295.65 buy point, and then it came back in, got support at its 21-day line, and now it's a buy point that was lost and now found. It did try and get above that 300 level, got turned away there, but if this can kind of hold here and potentially, go up higher, and this is one that you almost have to kind of forget about it a little bit because it does end up going higher. It just, if you watch it too closely, it's very easy to make it look like, hey, this isn't working out.
Yeah, and I mean, really tested investors here with this action at the 50-day line. So,
but in each case, if you go ahead and go to the weekly, you can see that it did get nice support there at the 10-week line. It maybe closed below it, a little bit, but we usually like to see, when we're talking about a break below the 10-week line, we like to see some space there. We don't want to have to squint our eyes and do some calculations to see if it actually closed below there. We want to see it visually.
All right, and last but not least, let's check in on MSCI. This is one of our long-term leaders, and it's now a part of the IBD breakout stocks index. Justin, this is a weekly chart. You can see a nice breakout from a consolidation here, but it didn't quite hold above that level today, hit a little bit of resistance at the entry.
And that's one of the things for the IBD breakout stocks index. We are trying to put things on your radar before they break out in a lot of cases. So that's what's going on here is, this came on last week before it came up to that level. And so this is one to keep an eye on. As you mentioned, it's also on the IBD long-term leaders. If you go to the monthly chart real quick on this one, you can kind of see why. This is a very phenomenal move. And if you just kind of look at this as opportunities for pullbacks, that's where a lot of the long-term leaders can actually really do well for your portfolio. And as long as this relative strength line remains in that uptrend that you pointed out, this is one that's definitely worth watching.
Yes, and just really quickly, it being a long-term leader, in addition to looking at that relative strength, we also look at the fundamentals. So we have this earnings stability, the lower the better, and that very strong EPS growth rate. So
yeah, normally for the long-term leaders, normally for the long-term leaders, you don't get that high of a earnings growth rate. So this is really very special that you have such a high growth rate with such low stability. And again, that lower number means that it is a more stable earnings growth trend.
Yes. All right, everyone. That is it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining us. And you can be sure the conversation will continue tomorrow morning on IBD Live. That is our daily morning live stream where our experts are sharing their screens, talking about actionable stocks in real time, breaking down the broad market action, and really talking about the game plan that you need from day to day as an investor. So a lot of good stuff happening over on IBD Live.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.